Is Sarah Jakes Roberts just a mirror of her famous father, Bishop T.D. Jakes? Behind the glamorous sermons, designer outfits, and picture-perfect family posts lies a far more complicated reality, one filled with whispers of control, emotional strain, and a relentless pursuit of money. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on the Jakes legacy to reveal what many insiders and critics have been murmuring for years. You won't believe how deep the manipulation and toxicity run, and how this anointed family image may be more about branding than belief. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at Sarah, or her father, the same way again. To understand Sarah, we have to start with the man who raised her, Bishop T.D. Jakes. A spiritual giant to millions, T.D. Jakes has built an empire that reaches far beyond the pulpit, from best-selling books to global conferences, from films to fashion. But behind that towering public image, there's a more complex family story. Those close to the Jakes family describe a household steeped in faith, but also marked by extremely high expectations, emotional distance, and a focus on performance. Multiple sources say the leadership style of Bishop Jakes inside the home was authoritative, even controlling, and that approval often seemed conditional, granted when children conformed to the family brand, and withheld when they didn't. For Sarah, growing up under such intense scrutiny meant learning early how to smile through pressure, speak when spoken to, and never show weakness. Sarah Jakes Roberts has become a star in her own right. She's a best-selling author, pastor, entrepreneur, and a household name among Christian women's empowerment circles. But her rise, as remarkable as it seems, wasn't built in a vacuum. It was forged inside the engine of the Jakes brand. From publishing deals to speaking slots at major events, critics say Sarah's path was not just paved by faith, but by access, legacy, and the family name. While she's undoubtedly gifted, many question how much of her platform was truly earned versus inherited. And then there's the matter of image. Her social media and ministry are meticulously curated. Perfect lighting, glowing captions, smiling children, stylish wardrobe, it all sends a message of polished spiritual success. But insiders say this carefully controlled image hides a more complicated reality. A woman still wrestling with the same traits that once shaped her: perfectionism, emotional suppression, and a desperate need to keep the family empire afloat. Let's talk about money. The Jakes empire is not just a ministry, it's a business. And Sarah, like her father, has mastered the art of monetizing faith. From online courses to conferences, merchandise to media ventures, her brand thrives at the intersection of spirituality and commerce. While it's not unusual for modern pastors to create revenue streams, some critics say Sarah's ventures seem more aligned with influencer culture than with sacred calling. There have even been quiet accusations that certain decisions, partnerships, product lines, and speaking arrangements were driven more by profit than purpose. Some in the Christian community question whether her focus on wealth building undermines her spiritual message, and whether she's repeating the same cycle as her father, where ministry becomes a means to expand a financial dynasty. Publicly, Sarah often speaks about healing and transformation. But behind closed doors, those close to her say the same toxic traits she grew up around now show up in her own relationships. Sources claim Sarah exerts tight control over her inner circle, especially when it comes to how things appear to the public. Disagreements within her team, or even with family, are reportedly shut down quickly if they threaten the brand. Her marriage to Teray Roberts, while publicly portrayed as loving and faith-filled, has reportedly faced deep strain from the pressure to perform. The constant demands of ministry, coupled with financial ambition, have allegedly created emotional distance within the home. One former associate even claimed that Sarah's leadership style can be cold and calculated, focusing more on protecting the platform than nurturing the people closest to her. One of the most painful elements of this family dynamic, according to insiders, is the way love and affirmation were tied to success. Sarah herself has spoken about her struggles with rejection, abandonment, and identity. And while she often presents these as personal battles she's overcome, critics argue these wounds came from a very specific source: her upbringing. A household where perfection was expected, where missteps were quietly punished, and where emotional honesty was not always welcomed. Now, as a parent herself, there's concern that the cycle may continue. Her children are growing up inside the same high-performance environment, surrounded by cameras, expectations, and pressure to maintain a legacy they didn't ask for. The heart of the matter isn't just money or ministry, it's control. From the outside, the Jakes family looks tightly united. But some insiders claim it's less about love and more about managing perception. Sarah's every move, they say, is measured. Every word, every photo, every quote, it all supports the idea of a flawless family rising in faith. But at what cost? Critics argue that instead of breaking generational cycles, Sarah is reinforcing them, using the same tactics of control, image management, and financial focus that defined her father's legacy. And while she speaks often of vulnerability and authenticity, the emotional distance in her personal relationships tells a different story. To be fair, Sarah has spoken publicly about going to therapy, embracing healing, and seeking to break negative generational patterns. She often urges her audience to choose wholeness over hustle. But even her most loyal fans wonder, has she truly changed, or is the language of healing just another layer of the brand? Real change takes more than good messaging. It takes sacrifice, transparency, and sometimes stepping away from power to prioritize people. And for someone so deeply embedded in a legacy like the Jakes family, that's easier said than done. So what's the truth? Is Sarah Jakes Roberts just a product of her environment, mimicking the very man she once struggled to please? Or is she genuinely trying to evolve beyond a legacy of control, perfectionism, and profit? Maybe the truth lies somewhere in between. A gifted speaker and powerful leader, yes. But also a woman still wrestling with the weight of a famous last name and a deeply complicated family legacy. Whatever the case, one thing is clear: when you pull back the curtain, the glow of success often hides shadows. And in the case of Sarah Jakes Roberts, the story is still unfolding. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Sarah is trapped in her father's shadow, or breaking free from it? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind the spotlight.